Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
In a world where podcasts are a dime a dozen, one show dares to stand out from the rest.
The Film Board, a podcast unafraid to tell it like it is.
We're here for one reason and one reason only. Downloads.
That's right. We review new release movies because that's what gets people's attention.
But just because we're in it for the clicks doesn't mean we don't take our job seriously.
We're part of the Next Reel family of film podcasts, and we're proud of it.
Our reviews are just as insightful and thought-provoking as any of our other film podcasts.
It's just that this podcast is all about that sweet, sweet SEO.
The nectar squoze from the tree of Bing.
We're only human, but we're also creators.
And creators eat clicks to survive.
So if you want honest, unfiltered opinions on the very latest movies right on opening weekend,
delivered with the self-awareness of a team looking for downloads,
then tune in to The Film Board.
Where every download counts, but yours counts the most.
Do you like movies?
Do you like sports?
I never played that sport on the screen, but I really enjoyed how the movie made me feel.
Well then, have we got a show for you. The Adrian Moment is where my friend Ocean and I discuss the triangulation of sports, movies, and life.
We dive deep into the movies, discussing how they relate to and have affected our lives.
We will talk about why the sport matters to the movie, why you don't have to love the sport to enjoy the movie, and mine a few nuggets of meaning inside the story you may not have realized was really there.
After listening to our show, come join us for more conversations about the movies that portray the thrill of victory
and the agony of defeat.
Find the Adrian Moment podcast on your favorite podcast app and join us while we cover the sports you love and the ones you never think about.
You will never see sports or sport movies the same again.
Hooked on you, baby, you're golden. Time moves, I never noticed, just can't get enough. Got me wonderstruck.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Make Me a Nerd. I am Mandy Kaplan, a mainstream mom whose mission it is to explore the world of nerd culture that I have been missing out on my whole life. This topic that we're going to cover today, I don't know if it counts as nerd culture because everybody in the world loved it, but I was told, no, stay away, Mandy. You won't like it. It's sci-fi. It's too heady. You won't like it. It's not for you. So I've cut all those a-holes out of my life and now I'm only hanging with people like my guest today, whom I know through my sister. He's been in our lives for 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah, more than 30 years. He is a former host of podcasts, including podcasts about education and Babylon 5, another show I've avoided. And he is currently one of the founders of the Qualia School in Calabasas. I hear founder, I think here,
Yeah,
called,
you should.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Jon Cassie.
How's it going, all?
Welcome
So
to
good
my
to see you.
podcast. Oh my gosh.
I'm delighted to be here.
So delighted. You are such a natural for this because I mean this with all reverence. You're a big old nerd.
Oh, yeah.
Board game loving, sci-fi obsessed nerd.
I mean, look behind me. It's all role-playing game books.
Role play, yep.
Yeah, tabletop
Check.
role-playing.
Check.
The worst.
No.
Board gaming, nerd.
But,
right.
But,
and TV, nerd TV. Oh, come on.
Right.
I was built for this.
You were built for this. Thank you for saying yes, because you are the number one nerd in my sphere.
Wow.
But when I said, what would you like to talk about? I didn't think that Severance would be something that you would choose. You thought about Marvel, and in typical nerd fashion, you were like, then we would have to cover every single Marvel. Like, you couldn't choose just one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So why did you choose
you'll recall that I pitched a number of different concepts to you, right? And we settled on Severance because, I mean, let's face it, it's a masterpiece.
I agree.
It is the current example, if you will, of a particular kind of show that hits the same kinds of buttons that that Severance hits, right?
Well, one thing I notice is that this is one of the very first shows I've ever experienced that has like fan theories, right?
Yeah.
Anyone you talk to is like, well, I was reading, there's a fan theory about that. There's a fan theory.
Yes. Yes.
That is new to me. There aren't really fan theories about Bachelor, weirdly.
No, and the presence of these fan theories is is one a kind of a hallmark of nerd culture.
Yes.
With regard to television, anyway, right? And you see it particularly in shows like Severance that are a little parsimonious with giving out information about what's actually happening.
If I know what
Right.
parsimonious means, I might disagree with you. I think they're quite generous.
Really?
I do.
Well, look, fan theory stuff, is generated by shows that the fans want more,
Right.
right? So
Right.
you look at shows like, say, Lost.
hmm
You look at shows like The X-Files.
I've heard of these shows.
Okay, yeah, you've heard of these shows.
Yes.
Okay, they were kind of water cooler shows,
Mhm.
like this one is, right?
Mhm.
With a mythology,
hmm
right, that is being built out over time, right? And where fans, committed fans, they want more information than is being given to them by the writers. Give me more, clarify these things, right?
Right.
That's why you get these fan theories, and you get them in every place. But these particular shows really generate them because fans want to know more. Now, you think it's generous, so tell me about that.
Well, I think that just about the time I was starting to think, oh, come on, show us that room, they would show it to us.
Right.
Just the point of getting frustrated, they would give me what I wanted and then raise new things to
Uh-huh.
get my intrigue peaked again, which I think is
Yeah.
brilliant. It is so
Yeah.
dense with so many
Yeah.
mysteries and details and things that you're trying to
Right.
figure out,
Right.
as opposed to the crappy rom-coms I watch. Some of them
Right.
are charming and brilliant, but some of them are
Right.
real crap. There's no
Right.
what's going to happen. I have
Yeah.
a
No.
theory. We know what's going to happen. They're going to kiss at
Right.
the end and they're going to end up together forever. So
Yeah.
this, we don't know what's going to happen. Their willingness to turn things on its head over and over is
Right.
thrilling to me.
Yeah.
And I was hooked from the first shot, which is a woman on a table, blade
Right.
on a table. We see it from overhead. And it's like, what have I just entered into?
Right. Oh my gracious.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yep.
What kind of journey am I going to be on? You're about as far away from Helly
Yes.
as you can be, right?
Mhm.
And still be in the room. So that the way that the camera is positioned so high,
They do a
right?
lot
It's
of
like,
overhead shots in this
right.
show.
It's like a long shot
Yep.
from within a room. So it's already sort of uncanny,
Yes.
right? And visually sort of
It's very
disturbing.
unusual and
Right.
disturbing and exciting
Right.
and funny,
Right.
but really dark and not funny.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, I was immediately hooked. I wrote the opening shot is perfection. Then
Yeah.
they launch into some really great 60s Austin Power-esque music as he makes his way through the office. It was such an
Right.
interesting choice. The music, I could do a whole hour on how exquisite the music is on this show, but let's just say it's
Oh
exquisite
my Lord. Right.
and move on. I
Right.
mean, look how tiny my writing is on my notes. I have so many notes. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, how
Yeah.
do we
Yeah.
possibly get to all of these? And we won't. But
Right.
when they are, I wrote the tone of the promotion scene. I'm still in the pilot.
Yeah.
Is hilarious and uncomfortable.
Yes.
The promotion. So Mark S., you're going to be promoted. You're now the head refiner, whatever.
Right.
And I said, this has a Napoleon Dynamite feel. I wasn't expecting the lightheartedness. And does this last? That's what I
Mm.
was grabbing from this. It's so weird,
Yes. Yes.
but
It.
you lean
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. Somehow, the world of the innies in season 1 in particular, right,
hmm
is so bizarre
hmm
and and you could probably do an hour on the the music dance experience
Yes. Yes.
just by itself. You
Yes.
could do a good 20 minutes on melon parties. I mean, what kind of corporate culture in the most weirdo places in outer space generates this kind of, what are we supposed to make of this company when this is happening kind of under their watch, right?
Right.
It's unbelievably bizarre.
Because yet it's also familiar and totally mundane when
Yeah.
they're talking about what they do. And I mean, yes, it's bizarre, but some of it feels familiar when you're in an office and they give little dumb rewards for meeting your quota. And,
For sure.
it's all familiar too.
And the fact that what they're doing, macro data refinement, what does that even mean?
Nothing, and I love it.
Nothing and I love it, right? So much of it is nothing and I love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're interacting with scary numbers to fill boxes on Commodore 64 computers, which are like, well, I don't know if they're Commodore 64s, but
Low
they're
tech.
they're low tech. Those computers are 40 years old
Mm-hmm.
in weirdo workstations that are basically out of the Jetsons,
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
right?
nice. I had not
And
thought of the Jetsons, but yes, it feels
right.
futuristic, yet
Well,
dating.
it's like your fabulous future of 1995 seen from 1958 future,
Wait,
right?
do you know it's 1995?
No,
Or did you just throw that out? Because
no, I just no, I don't know.
initially I had questions. Why is it so low tech? When does this take place? They
Yes,
use these old computers. Um, the cars look very mid 90s.
yes, yep,
The fashions are really nondescript and you can't tell. And then
right,
I kept going back to this note and adding, wait a minute, now there are payphones in this town. Um,
right,
the graphics they use, yet they have phones with apps.
right.
So
I
when
don't
is
get it.
this taking place, Jon Cassie?
Right,
Oh,
I don't know. And when I say, look, fan theory stuff,
yeah.
this is the kind of thing I'd like to be told.
Mhm.
I'd like to get any kind of purchase on the when, because the moment you're in these kind of mid-century modern environments, right, you're thinking it's the future,
Mhm.
okay? Because
Right.
in air
Right. That's
quotes, right?
Justin's way. Yeah. Oh,
Right.
we heard your air quotes, John. Don't worry.
Yes. Okay.
They came right through.
But you're given all of these other visual references that clearly feel like it's in the 80s
Mhm.
or the early 90s.
Mhm.
But the self-help books, the
Mhm.
corporate culture,
Mhm.
all feels later than that.
I know.
So you're sort of left with your head spinning. At least I am,
Yeah.
because I can't place it.
And do you go on Reddit? Do you seek out fan theories? I have not yet because I've been consumed by watching the show, but
Yeah.
I bet there are a million theories about it has to be this year and here's why. And I spotted a thing and that, people are
Uh,
savvy.
yeah. 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 I mean, I'm not a huge fan theory reader.
Okay.
Um, I I don't mind spoilers,
Hmm.
but I find that sometimes fan theory practice can get a little far afield, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just
And I'm
never
like,
been a part of my
yeah, it's like, why?
intake
What?
of when I watch there. Yeah. I mean, I guess there are fan theories, but Bachelor's not deep enough for me to give a shit to go on Reddit and figure out, you know,
Right.
why
Right.
so and so phoned it in on the group date. Like, I don't care. I just
Yeah.
want to
Right.
watch the dumb show. Um,
Right.
the next reference I made, because I think the show is absolutely unique and
Hmm.
singular, but reminds me of so many things that are so near and dear to my heart. And
Hmm.
I said, this feels like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Which is a movie I cherish. I love that movie.
That movie's perfect.
But thank you. But the idea that you can mess with someone's brain to get an achieved effect to spare them of their grief or spare them of memory. I'm not far off on that one. That's a little on the nose. But I was confused. And sometimes I write a note and then I'm like, oh, wait, that got answered. 3 episodes later, I totally knew it. But I want to know what you think about this. Their outies don't know anything that happens in the building, but they know when to go to work, how to go to work. They know to call Mr. Milchek if they're not going to be at work. How do they know that kind of stuff? And where to put their badges? And it just was all like, wait, how do they know all this? These outies.
Everything that the outie does with relation to Lumen is all sort of it's all managed before the elevator, right? So you have the elevator, sort of your interface zone between outiness and inniness. Okay. And that's why you get that visual effect. All of the sort of rituals of going to work have all clearly been spelled out in the Your Innie's employee manual, right? Because they have all these manuals, right?
Right.
So the outie understands the procedures required for the innie to go to
the elevator.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it involves you've got to take it's like Mr. Rogers, you got to take your jacket off and you got to take your shoes off and you got to put your badge in here and everyone gets their own locker and this kind of stuff.
Or prison. I mean, I'm just speaking from experience, but.
Right. But, they understand what to do because, you'll remember, when Helly was talking when Helena was talking to Helly, I'm a person, you're not. So the person knows what to do because they're, as far as Lumen is concerned, they're the person. The innie doesn't need to know any of it, right? They just don't. They're perpetually either in the elevator or at work.
Right. That's all they know.
Right. That's all they know.
Right.
Which is itself kind of bizarre when you think about it. I mean, what kind of an identity does that give you when you're down there? Which is what, in part, the second season is about, the sort of fraying and fragmenting of these identities, right?
I know. It's giving me tingles thinking about it because it's so genius and it's so heady, but it's not too heady. I recently did Deep Space Nine, and the pilot was just beyond me. The existential crisis of
I love that show so much.
Yes, and there's a lot to love, but it is a little too heady for me. Some of the things they were tackling right in that pilot, I was just like, I can't wrap my brain around this. But I never felt
a lot.
pushed away by Severance. I felt like they were spoon feeding me perfectly for me to understand and lean in and want more and more and more. And so thank you, Severance. So it basically people become innies, we're learning, because they are grieving or incapable of happiness on the outside, or, they've really got issues. This is not just, I need a job, I'll have my brain severed. And even when we see Mark S. in the outside world, he never turns on an overhead light. He's so deeply in grief. He's drinking a lot. It's a powerful, sad, dark time for him. And then towards the end of the episode, they're in a diner and it's like, oh, a place I recognize, something familiar, right?
Right.
And they cut away before he gets his food, which pisses me off because something like that is an important detail to me. Like, what does Mark S. order at a diner?
Yeah.
What do you think he ordered?
It's being pitched as kind of almost like a blue collar community, kind of downwardly mobile town, right?
Yeah.
That's why you need that's why, the lumens of the world come to these towns because they have these kind of
Yep.
opportunities, right?
Oh, yes.
So it's given me like pot roast dinner,
Okay.
right? Like kind of your upstate New York, kind of New England kind of
Yeah.
vibe, right? It's a meat and potatoes kind of place.
Oh, the diner is, but I think Mark S.
Yeah.
is a whitefish guy. I don't know why. With a lemon butter sauce. That's what I'm imagining he ordered. I don't know
No,
why.
too froofy.
No?
Too froofy. Too froofy.
I don't know. Like a nice
Yeah.
soft white. Anyway, but
Or Irving, maybe.
ooh, Irv would have that, and
Yeah.
so might Bert. Um, but it's those details I want that they are sparse with, right?
Yes.
He's often drinking some brown liquor, but I love to know what people are eating or what errands they're running or what is
Right.
their day to day. This show doesn't have time. There's too many
No.
important, epic, mind blowing things to get to. But I
Yeah.
just wanted to see the waitress come over and say, "Here you go," and see what this guy eats.
Well, and also if the writers give you that, if the directors give you that, it's going to situate these characters in the real a little more than I think they want to. I think they want to keep us as audience members, kind of destabilized and uncertain and being confused about what's going on. And those kind of details help.
Yeah.
And so by not providing them, you're left wondering, well, I don't even know what he eats. I don't know
Right.
what he drinks. He drives the most nondescript car you could imagine, and he lives in a
Corporate housing
characterless.
that they yeah,
Right.
right.
Right. And Jesus Murphy, would you light something, please, other
Turn
than
on a
the
frickin' light.
Severance floor? Turn on a GD light,
Right.
please.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Right?
But
It's crazy making.
back to the housewives. It always
I'm
comes
sorry,
back to
yes.
the Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Andy Cohen insisted when he started that franchise. They were like, so they all get their dinners, and he's like, no, 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 no. We need to see what they order and what they eat. People will want
Yeah.
to know this.
Yeah.
And it was a huge thing for him.
Mhm.
Is this a woman who only orders like a watercress salad? Or is this a woman who orders a big bowl of pasta and goes to town? It
Right.
tells you a lot. And I love knowing that. Look, Severance is perfect. I have zero criticism,
Right.
but I want to know what these people eat and
Right.
drink and
Right. It's not a bug, it's a feature, as they say.
yes.
Right? You're not being told it for a reason. Right?
Yes.
In the second season, Irv and Bert are going to have dinner together
Mhm.
outside of Lumen
Field.
with Fields. Okay, now
Mhm.
30 seconds on Fields. Okay,
Go for it.
Fields is performed by John Noble.
Yes.
Okay, and John Noble is it. Your listeners who are steeped in nerdery
Yes.
are their hearts are going to be singing because John Noble is perfect. He was in Lord of the Rings, the
Yes, I saw
movies,
that.
as Denethor, right? A character who's very problematic, right?
Mhm.
He was in Fringe, which was a show from the early 2010s. Fringe is also virtually perfect. And his character has one of the most
Putting it on the
extraordinary
list, Jon
arcs.
Cassie.
Oh yeah. His character has one of the most extraordinary arcs in sci-fi TV.
Uh-huh.
That show is brilliant.
Okay.
And he's the voice of a character called the Diviner in the most recent animated Star Trek show, which is called Star Trek Prodigy, which is also a masterpiece.
Oh.
It is perfect Star Trek.
Wow.
It's a Nickelodeon
Mhm.
Y7 Star Trek,
Okay.
right? But the animation is beautiful. It's outstanding Trek storytelling, and John Noble is like the antagonist, right? So when I saw John Noble, I was like, oh, yes, give him more work, people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So all you see is the wine, right?
Right.
And
Wait, we don't see what
you
they're
know,
eating in that scene either?
I don't
I know they're
I don't think
cooking and
so.
it's a dinner party, but you're
Yeah,
right. I don't have a
yeah,
memory of what they served.
yeah.
Damn it.
So all of those kind of details in the outer world are left obscured. I think that's intentional.
Yes.
right?
Oh,
Right. And I think
totally.
it's, yeah,
Yes. I mean, what we see of their outie world is so limited and limiting and
yeah,
sad. Um,
right,
so
right.
I'm going to keep us moving because I want to be able to get through.
Oh
You
yeah,
said we made an agreement, a gentleman's agreement, a gentlemandy agreement.
right,
I'll watch the first episode and the last episode of season 1, and then I'll watch the
right,
first one of season 2. I
right.
texted
But
you 4 episodes in and was like, spoiler, I'm going to watch every single minute of this show. Heads
oh
up,
yeah,
we're talking about it all. So thank you
right,
for pivoting with
right.
me because I couldn't imagine missing a moment. I don't want to
Now,
miss a moment.
right now, let me ask you this. I
Yeah.
find this show, I find it emotionally draining to binge.
Hmm.
What about you?
I loved it. I wanted,
Yeah. Oh no, I love it.
it
Right.
is tense. Here's something coming up is my observation that it's so stressful to watch and
Yes.
it actually gave me bad dreams. Very
Yes.
little
That's
does.
what I'm talking about. Right.
Yes, it did affect my sleep. I was having dreams that I was,
Right.
you know,
Right.
severed or unable to remember or whatever.
Right.
It's intense. Uh, and I think that the humor they give us is the best gift of all. It's the
Yes.
lime after a shot of bad tequila. I mean,
Right.
it's helps us keep going. And
Yeah.
anytime we're gutted, they have a melon party or they have a melon
Right.
head I mean,
Right.
there are so many laugh out loud, ridiculous moments on this show
Right.
amidst this tension.
Yes. Yes. And that tension is is so palpable in the first episode of
Hmm.
season 1 that if you don't like it by the end of that first episode, you already the show's all in.
Yes,
You know what you're getting, and if it's not your jam, then it's not your jam.
there's no
But
ramp.
I found right, I loved how unbelievably like I was hyperventilating in the building. Just the building
Hmm.
is enough to be. It's how can it be overstimulating? It's nothing, right?
But
And yet
right,
all of the turnings and
and
the
the colors
claustrophobia,
and
it's
yes.
so claustrophobic.
Um,
Right?
I also played a drinking game every time they walked in a hall walk. I drank. So I
Oh
don't really
God,
remember the 3rd or 4th or
no,
5th episodes. No,
no.
I'm obsessed with drinking games. I don't actually play
Mm,
them, except Supernatural, I played a drinking game. But
mm,
I love the hall walking. I love that often we only see, like, the tops of their heads. This is a visual, everybody.
right,
Like, we see, like, from their upper lip to their
right,
foreheads and tons of headroom in the shot for no
right.
reason, or we see the backs of their I mean, this hall walking I've heard them joke about it in interviews. Like, "We're
Yes,
gonna go keep walking the halls," but every time they hall walk, it gives me a jolt of energy. They're
yeah,
always walking the halls with purpose, with
yes,
a reason, with an intensity or
right,
oh god, the hall walking.
right. Now the business in the second season with Miss Casey was that Sandra Bernhard?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, okay.
One of
I
the only
thought
times I've
so.
ever liked her on screen. Sorry,
Hmm,
Sacha Bernhardt. I find
sorry,
her too
Sandra
much,
Bernhard.
but
Yeah,
she was
and
wonderful.
this she was restrained. She was
Yes,
restrained, right?
yes.
And that hall walk, by virtue of its pacing being much more, Miss Casey being more
She has urgency.
right,
Yeah.
was to me even more, unnerving. All of the panels with the
Mhm,
rooms with the
mhm.
names from the
Right,
macro data
right,
refinement process, right?
right.
Like, I mean, presumably we're going to learn something the final episode is called Cold Harbor.
Okay. Of season 2? That's
Yeah,
coming up? Okay.
yeah. So
Look, they're
presumably
gonna
we're
leave
going to
us
learn something.
dangling. We're not gonna learn everything. We're gonna learn
Oh, of
some, and
course.
then they're gonna start new mysteries because 'cause they're good at this. They're
Full
very,
stop.
very good at this.
Yes.
Here's a fun fact. Pete,
Yeah.
play a little fun fact sting. I have a friend who works at Apple. She does
Yes.
not work on Severance in any way. She works in the children's department. And she
Okay.
was saying when this show started to come out, Apple was throwing melon parties as homage to the success of the show. And she
Ooh.
was totally baffled. They would wheel
Right.
out melons and she was like, what's happening? Why is there dance music and melons in the
Right.
office right now? Because she hadn't
Right.
seen the show yet. So
Ah,
I love that Apple loved it so much and made it part of
yeah.
the Apple culture for a while. That's just a fun
Right.
fact.
Right. I love that Apple commits to shows like this and will let them build their audience. Right.
I mean,
Uh,
it's the way shows used to be.
yeah.
Right? Infamously or famously, Seinfeld didn't have an audience at first, and NBC
Right.
said, that's okay. Let it build
Right.
an audience. That's how
Right.
television used to be. Now,
Right.
things only get 6 episodes and then they're done, and
And toast. Yeah. Yeah.
breaks my heart.
And shows like this one, like I was talking about Lost.
hmm
Well, I mean, Lost started with a bang, but the X-Files
hmm
grew very slowly. It didn't become a phenomenon for a couple of years, right? Another show that's very similar to Severance is Black Mirror.
Right.
Black Mirror is an anthology, so
That's
each
coming up
episode is.
next month, people.
You have someone doing that with you?
Yes, I do.
Good, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God, that's such a good show.
Yep.
Um,
But I've
but
never seen it.
yeah. Well, you're gonna. Well, I mean, it's uneven because it's an anthology, right?
Sure.
But there'll be episodes that you no doubt love and others that you're sort of baffled by or that you're squigged out by.
Yeah.
Right? That's how
Yeah.
it works.
An anthology works really well for my format, though, because I can drop in and pick. If a guest can say, here are my 3
Mhm.
favorites, watch these 3. Great. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard sometimes. I have to watch a lot of recaps in my life because someone
Right.
says, watch episode 4 in season 4. And I'm like, but I don't know
It's
who these
not
people
helpful.
are. It's
Yeah.
tough, but I'm making it work, and I found recaps, and I enjoy
Yes.
those.
Yeah. I will quickly give you the 2 episodes that you should watch of Black Mirror, and then we can talk about Severance some more. How would that be?
If you'd like, but I'm not choosing the episodes. My guests choose the episode. So you're just,
White Bear, San Junipero. I'm done.
okay, you hear that, future
Okay.
guests? We'll see if they choose those.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and I don't know each other that well. You don't know about me that I am obsessed with cults and Scientology specifically.
I am too. How did I
Jon
not know
Cassie.
this? Oh, I'm obsessed.
Obsessed. I will go toe to toe with every book, memoir, expose.
Mhm.
I am obsessed. Season 1, episode 3, in perpetuity, that's where we get to the break room,
Oh, yeah.
the perpetuity wing. And I said, this
Yes.
is giving me Scientology vibes. And I started making little observations about Scientology. And then I Googled or Reddited. That's not a word, but I looked up on Reddit or
Mhm.
something. Does anybody else think this? And yes, in fact, they listed a bunch of things that they thought might be a slight dig on Scientology in season 1.
Okay.
Then season 2 happened. And season
Okay.
2 is clearly, I can't even find my notes in all of these notes. With the punishments, she is holding E-meters, Miss Casey, in season 2.
Oh,
She's
absolutely. Those are E-meters. 100%.
I mean, it became basically like, all you fuckers who are in Scientology, this is about you. People willing to sever themselves from their families who are wogs. Are you getting the terminology? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? And I devoured the idea that this show is saying, here is L. Ron Hubbard, and here we go. We're really doing this. We're
Right.
This is a takedown of Scientology on many levels. And so I loved it. And I noticed many, many more things in season 2 that I can't find in my notes. But it started in the perpetuity wing.
Yes.
The way the characters who are severed craft sentences in a weird and almost unnatural way. The Scientology training videos all use sentences that are just odd. I'm reading this from Reddit, sorry. If they're trying to show a couple arguing, they'll have them shout things like, "You are bad, you just don't get it," rather than having their real argument. The color blue in their work attire, Scientology's outfits of their Sea Org are all blue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the list goes on and on. I won't read them all, but I think Lumen is clearly a nod to Scientology.
It's clearly organized in the way that all sort of late 20th and early 21st century cults are organized. There's the, inaccessible founder and leader.
Mm-hmm.
There are the inaccessible leader's minions,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Cobell and Milchick.
Cobell and Milchick, right?
And
right, and Miss Wong. Okay. Now, you've seen Wild Wild Country, surely.
Of course.
Okay. So I think all of those, Cobell, Milchick, Wong,
Mm-hmm.
it feels to me like they were told, go watch Wild Wild Country. I want you to channel Ma Anand Sheila.
Mm-hmm.
I want
I
Ma even
watched
Anand
a
Sheila
follow-up
energy.
documentary about Sheila.
She's
about where she
wildly
is now.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fascinating, right?
Yeah.
So all of the corporate manuals and the weird way that they all speak, right? And you remember when we went to Salt's Neck,
Mm-hmm.
right? That all of those people talked sort of weirdly
Which one's
as well.
Salt Neck? Is that where
That's
Cobell's
the
from?
one where Cobell, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lumen
And
had their factory there, and that's where they started their takeover, right?
even the physical environment is giving, kind of late 20th century industrial replacement for church, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and all of those
Mm-hmm.
things kind of taken together, when you look at the way that these cults, present themselves visually, it's clearly a cult environment.
In episode 4,
Yes.
the UUR, which is the brother-in-law's self-help book, which I wanted to make fun of, but actually seemed to be quite poignant and smart and
For sure.
introspective in a great way. But this is where Turturro and Walken
Yeah.
start their relationship. And I wrote, is Turturro crushing on Walken, or is that just me? Then an episode later, I went back and I wrote, oh, I'm good. I called it. And then I wanted to ask, because I haven't done a ton of Googling. In our current society, you are not supposed to play something you are not. Christopher Walken and John Turturro
Right.
are not gay actors, but they were playing gay men. Have you heard any backlash, or has there been any
I haven't heard any.
uproar over that?
I haven't read any.
Is it just because they're masters? I mean, John Turturro's performance on this show is
Extraordinary?
pure heartbreak. Yeah. But I really thought, and in a way that ticks me off. In a way,
Yeah.
this is occurring to me now, John. So if you're a young upstart, like the brilliant actor whose name I don't know, who played Simon in Love, Simon, is not gay.
Yes.
And he faced backlash.
Yeah.
I love the movie Love, Simon. I love it. And he faced backlash because you're not gay.
Right.
You can't play gay. How dare you? But because Christopher Walken and John Turturro are lauded actors, they're allowed. No one's going to say boo. And in a way, that's elitism to me.
It might also factor that they're both, of an older generation.
But why? I mean,
yeah,
I think I don't take offense as a person in the gay community. I'm not gay myself, but I am a huge ally, and all my friends and family are gay, and that's who I am. I don't take offense. I will defend Eric McCormack till my dying breath. I think he was amazing as Will Truman. I think he should have played it and did play it, but he would never be allowed now. And I think many, many, many gay actors are shoved into the closet and forced to play straight, or they have to play straight because that's what's being presented on screen. So that is one that I don't gel with, that mindset that like you have to be gay to play a gay character.
I mean, I don't know if you have the opportunity to get Christopher Walken, and
Right.
the only part you have is an 80-year-old gay guy. Maybe that's what the calculus looks like, and I'm okay with that.
And
And I speak as a gay person.
what?
Shocker.
One tiny observation is in the first 5 episodes when we met Bert, I said to my husband, Jer, I said, I see him just falling back on walk-in patterns. I'm not charmed by him with his voice cracking and all of the walk-in. And then I got over that so quickly, and I thought his performance
Yeah.
was mesmerizing and full of layers and depth. But maybe just the first couple of episodes, he wasn't doing that much. He was just chatting. So maybe when he just chats with someone,
Right.
his walk-in comes out.
Yeah. I think his performance is quite nuanced.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I ended up loving it. I started off
Yeah.
judging it because that's who I am, and then I
Yeah.
quickly embraced it. One note I wrote about 45 times over these episodes is, aren't they being watched? Aren't they being monitored? How are they getting away with these secret meetings in the break room and secret meetings in the bathrooms and secret talks in the hallway? How are the macro data refiners getting away with what they're getting away with?
Two factors I think might be in play. First, they're nominally being watched, but all you have is Seth Milchick and Miss Wong.
No, you have Grainer, and we learn in the second season, we have people seeing through their computer screens.
Right, but if you're not at your computer screen, do these people have access to the full range of supervision of the entire severed floor? Right. If you're going to be under,
I don't know. Well,
right.
Why? I mean, if I were running Lumen, I would have a lot more cameras, a lot more. They go in. Something happens at night there at the end of the season, and I'm thinking they don't have night watchmen
That makes no
walking the
sense.
halls, checking.
Right. That makes no sense that they don't. Right.
What? It's just for our convenience so that Dylan can do what he does. But
yeah,
I having read everything about Scientology there is to read, you are never unsupervised. You can't just go to the gate and walk out. Like there's somebody there to stop you, monitor you, question you, put you back in your place at all times.
Right. And there was a much more season 1 oppressive kind of corporate feel. The corporate surveillance was more obvious. It was more part of the story in the first season, rather less so in the second season. Yeah, I mean, to your point, right? They seem to be getting away with stuff that in season 1 they'd never get away with.
Yes,
and
more secret meetings, more exploratory missions.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we're back in sort of fan theory. Well, is Milchick allowing it? Right? Is Miss Wong not allowed to observe things? Are the other people so busy that they're not able to see? I mean, what does that mean?
You mentioned Milchick.
Yeah.
Tramell Tillman. And I have just a side note that I did a reading with him of a screenplay, and he is nothing like Milchick. I had never seen Severance, didn't know who he was from Adam.
Right.
His energy, his aura, his kind eyes would blow you away. He is nothing like Seth Milchick.
Wow.
So I was watching this and I had to keep looking at IMDb. Is this really the guy that I did a screenplay reading with? He is astonishing.
Yeah.
He is evil. It took me a while to realize that he's not severed, Cobell's not severed.
Right.
I was a little confused by that, but I caught up. But I mean,
yeah,
just Tramell Tillman.
Tramell Tillman, give me a break. I mean,
just stop with that talent.
Right.
And his humor.
Right.
His humor. He is in charge of 60 or 70% of the humor of this show.
No question.
I mean, he because of how bizarre he is. Um, in the second season, I wrote he drops a bomb. I think it's like Irv's fired. He's not coming back. Get over it. He's dead. Well, I think this went well. I mean, he's so evil, but yet relatable. And and in the second season now we're rooting for him. I don't know how they're achieving what they're achieving.
Right. The writing is accomplishing really extraordinary goals, right? It's how on earth have you gotten us to this place where we're sort of sympathetic with Cobell?
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely we are.
Right? And when Milchick was that performance review episode, and then
more sympathetic.
One of the saddest things I think I've seen on TV in years is him practicing the paper clipping.
Oh God.
Oh,
but that's also so Scientology.
Correct.
I hate to keep bringing it up, but I love it so much.
Yeah.
And by love it, I mean hate it.
Yeah.
And want to take it down myself.
Right.
But
quick last point. The white turtleneck in the Music Dance Experience episode Tramell Tillman was wearing. Must have that turtleneck.
There's so much weird.
Oh yeah.
So now in my notes, I'm up to episode 5, and I wrote, I love Miss Casey. She's pitch perfect. She's clinical and creepy, yet soothing and kind.
Yes.
And then I looked her up. Her name is Deacon Lockman. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I think it's Deacon.
Deacon Lockman.
Yep.
And then she's Australian.
Yes.
Holy shit. No accent. American accent flawless on this. And I became obsessed with Miss Casey.
Yes.
Not realizing why.
Yeah, it's coming.
And then we go into episode 6, hide and seek. We won't go through every episode. We're already out of time. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Right.
But I'm amazed that their outie world is as interesting and mystery laden as their innie world.
Yeah.
Because their outie world should be a little more normal. Like, oh, they're making dinner.
Oh, it's not remotely normal.
Not normal at
not at
all. Fascinating.
Right. I love the fact that the production design is so careful about giving the outie frame and the innie frame. They're both they have a great deal of visual integrity.
Yes.
Right?
Consistency.
Each to their own, right? The innie world being kind of overlit, primary colors.
Only blues and greens.
Only blues and greens, occasional reds, right? And the outie world being either that kind of unique light that you get in New England or sort of upstate New York, the overcast, and everything is sort of icy.
And rust colored and earthy and
Right. And, or it's not lit at all. Right. So you're kind of, what is going on? Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's like everything is the basement.
Yes.
In outie.
And but feels real.
Oh yeah.
Somehow the style doesn't make you think it's not a real world. This outie world, I'm saying. The innie world doesn't feel real. It feels theatrical in a great way.
Right.
But this outie world feels real.
100%.
And I think a lot of that is because of his sister, whom we haven't mentioned, Devin, played by Jen Tulloch, who is so grounded and so small and so relatable.
Right.
And I just fucking love that actress. I love her.
Yeah, she's great.
I mean, I love everything about the show. I'm not criticizing anything.
Right.
But you asked about binging it, and they do cliffhangers too well.
Mm-hmm.
So binging it is like cheating the system.
Right.
Because I'm left like, what? And then I can press play on the next one and I don't have to wait. So I feel like I cheated, and it's great.
Yeah, it is great. Right. it's, shows that are this dense and that I really want to understand. Sometimes I find that binging them is essential because otherwise you can't keep track of what's going on, right? It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And a show that very similar to this in some respects was on Netflix a few years ago called Dark.
Okay.
Okay.
My husband watched it.
Yeah. German time travel.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched the first 10 episodes all in a row, all 10. And then it was like 2 years and I tried to pick up season 2, episode 1. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't remember. Right. So, yeah.
It's a relief to hear you say that because that's my constant state
Yeah.
is like needing refreshers and reminders. And
Oh, yeah.
so,
Oh, yeah.
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 And you are a wildly intelligent person. So I'm relieved to hear you say
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, shows like this, you can't help but consult readers' guides, right? Because there's so much depth, there's so much content in virtually every shot that you're just gonna miss it the first maybe twice. I mean, I was missing stuff in the main titles, right? I mean, how do you miss stuff in the titles?
Oh, the title sequence. I didn't even want to go there because it's, I mean, I didn't take specific notes. I was just blown away and I enjoyed it and I loved it. And then they changed it for season 2.
Right.
But, so did you rewatch the whole thing to do this podcast or had you recently seen it or?
Oh, no, I was saving it. Right. And when we
Jon
agreed that we were going to do
Cassie.
this, I'm like, okay, let me go back into it. Right.
It's easy to binge.
For sure.
You said it's hard, but I think it's easy. I mean, the tension is so. I don't know.
It's because it's so rich, this sort of emotional austerity of the any world, right? Where they have so little access to their humanity. It's, I mean, look, the acting and the writing is kind of a high wire act. And I find it uncanny and disturbing and unsettling while loving it, while give me more. But also I'm hyperventilating because I'm so I'm just nervous about what's going on. I'm anxious.
Nervous.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah.
Did you watch sidebar and it'll come right back. Did you watch The Penguin on
Only
Max?
1 episode so far.
Okay, you're wrong. I'm just saying.
Oh,
You're wrong. You have to watch it. It's exquisite. It is perfection, like this show.
Oh, yeah.
And I was watching it, and I was in my bedroom, and I screamed out at one point because a plot twist was so emotional for me. And Jer came running in. Are you okay? Are you okay? He assumed I fell or had a heart attack or something.
Right.
So in episode 7, Defiant Jazz, at the end, we learn Miss Casey is his dead wife, Gemma.
I know.
And I screamed out. I kept going, oh my God, oh my God. And Jer came in, he's like, are you okay? And Jer had seen the whole show. And so he comes in and he looks at the screen. What did you just see? What's happening? Now he knows nothing's going on. I'm just watching one of these amazing shows.
Right.
And for 2 days, I would just go, oh my God, Jer. Oh my God. I couldn't get past that twist. Not since Robert Durst said, of course I killed them all. Are you a Robert Durst, the Jinx fan from HBO?
No, I don't know.
Oh, damn it. Best moment of television I've ever seen. It's a huge thing. This guy who was a serial killer, essentially, they caught him during a documentary. He goes to wash his hands in the bathroom and he forgets he's mic'd and he confesses on the mic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and it was the kind of moment of television that you're like, we that didn't just happen. We couldn't have just witnessed that.
Right.
That's this feeling of, oh my God, Miss Casey is Gemma. Gemma is Miss
Right.
Casey. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I can't breathe.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
exquisite.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
perfection.
That's why you watch shows like this.
Yes.
Right. That's why you watch The Twilight Zone, which was referenced about 60 times in the last episode, S2E9,
Yes.
right? The gold thimble business, right?
Mhm.
Mannequin,
Someone just
the creepy mannequin
clue-
episode, right?
someone had to clue me into this because I don't know Twilight Zone. I'm putting it on my list right now. 'cause I
After
should
I
know
watched
Twilight
it, I was like, what is okay? I was like, clearly I'm being they're making reference. I don't get it. And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean?
Zone. Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Where are we going with this, right? Twilight Zone, The X-Files, Dark, Lost, these kinds of shows
Right.
will give you something like this. And it's like, I remember when I realized that Lost was flash forwarding and not flash backing, right? That kind of, oh
Mhm.
my God, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of shows attempt it.
Yeah.
Yellow Jackets comes to mind. Like they attempt to give you those
Yeah.
twists. And oftentimes you go, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that
Oh,
was a
yeah.
big twist. Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. It does not take my breath away like
Yeah.
this. Or like the Penguin. I love the Penguin.
Yeah. I didn't see this Gemma thing coming.
And that's what it is. I don't know that they planted seeds. When you went back for your rewatch, did you look for seeds?
No.
Didn't she sneeze? Okay, right? Wasn't there something about sneezing or that he said something about how Gemma always did this thing. And I asked Jer, did we ever see that as Miss Casey? But I couldn't remember. I
Yeah.
think it was sneezing.
Yeah. I don't remember that. But I don't,
Okay.
when I'm watching, I don't often look for that sort of thing.
Oh God, I would be obsessed.
Yeah.
If I rewatch it, I will be obsessed every time Miss Casey's on the screen. Like, where do we see a hint of Gemma? Where is there a moment? They have to plant those seeds somewhere. They're so
clearly
smart.
they did. Us missing them notwithstanding.
I'm gonna jump into season 2 for 5 minutes. I mean, truly, you've been so generous to stay this long. I overall have not enjoyed season 2 as much as season 1.
Agreed.
And there's a very agreed. Okay. I love the macro data refiners, the 4 people.
Yeah.
And season 2 gets away from them so much.
Yes.
And I miss them. And we have not mentioned Zach Cherry as Dylan G.
Oh my God, he's so good.
A brilliant, hilarious. You want to squeeze his face and hug him and kiss him all the time. He's just an amazing actor.
Yes.
So, but season 2 leaves so much of that tension between the macro data refiners behind and goes off on these one-off episodes about Miss Cobell and I did not care for the one in the mountains in general where they were up at Ortbo. I know people like to say Ortbo.
Ortbo was just so weird.
I didn't care for it. Because I missed Lumen. I missed the familiar world that they had created.
Yeah. That feels right to me.
But season 2 includes Merritt Weaver, one of my favorite actresses of all time, as Dylan G's wife, Gretchen.
Yeah.
And they've created this extraordinarily weird, heady love triangle between her and his innie and his outie.
I felt, Zach Cherry, I think is underappreciated a little bit on this show, right? Because you have so many have so many great, actors with such a huge, careers, what have you. And I think that episode, season 2, episode 5 or 6, where Gretchen tells Dylan, hey, this happened between me and your innie. And Dylan's like, his outie is betrayed, and then his innie is betrayed. And, Gretchen, I mean, oh my God. I just felt so bad. I feel bad for Dylan, right? Because it seems like he's there because he can't get his life together. right? Which is tragic in a different kind of way.
And she obviously loved him and married him. And then he got lost in this depressive state.
Yeah.
And now she's like meeting his original guy who's charismatic and funny and curious and life affirming.
Right.
And so she's drawn to the innie. Oh,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. And so there is a lot about season 2 I love, like that plot line. Love that plot
Yeah.
line. But the Cobell episode where she goes home and we learn about her crazy sister, I don't need it.
Yeah.
That's just my taste.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, Patricia Arquette is a national treasure.
I have to tell you, Jon Cassie,
Oh.
I've never been a fan until this show.
Oh.
I've seen a ton of what she has done, and I've always been underwhelmed.
Huh.
And I think she is miraculous on this show.
Yeah. I have been generally whelmed by her.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, if I suspect if you already are whelmed, then you're going to be overwhelmed by, I mean, this performance. Throw this woman an Emmy, please.
Has it won? I didn't look it up. Has it been nominated or won anything? This show?
I don't
Adam
know
Scott
about this
too,
season.
Okay.
I think she was nominated in 22 for season 1.
Okay.
Right.
It's I mean, it's a perfect show, which
Yeah.
is a crazy thing to say. I said it about the Penguin, but other than that, I find a lot to criticize in my entertainment.
Yeah.
And I just can't. We didn't. Oh, one thing I wanted to say about Natalie,
Yes.
whom I love. I would like to mention the actress's name because she's quite extraordinary and interesting and making the most of a weird small role. And I'm looking for her name, and damn it, Sydney Cole Alexander. She's doing this thing. Natalie is the representative of the Egan board,
Right.
and she almost seems like AI walking around. She doesn't even seem real.
Right.
But she always looks like she's going to sneeze or cry.
Yes.
And there's something about that. I hope season 3 we dive into Natalie's story, because what have they done to her to make her as obedient and
Right.
brainwashed as she seems to be? Or is she?
Right. Right. I want to study in season 3 the difference between an authentic, true follower
Mm-hmm.
and a performative true
Mm-hmm.
follower, right? Like, to what degree is Cobell not performative? Milchick, Wong, Natalie, Drummond, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's people who are observing, right? I'm not. I don't know, right? I think that Milchick is one episode away from coming completely unraveled.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, if he doesn't unravel in this episode that's coming, I'm going to be kind of pissed. I mean, I need him to come completely apart, because he is holding on by the barest thread. Right?
He's showing us his true colors.
Right.
Now, when this episode of Make Me a Nerd comes out, we will have already seen the finale. But as it stands now, we are up to the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
And
episode.
So yeah. So we don't know what this season ender will bring, and I cannot wait to find out.
Wait.
Oh my gosh, Jon Cassie, is there anything else you need to say about Severance to scratch this itch? We could talk for another 5 hours.
All I would I would encourage listeners to drop the album onto their Spotify or whatever, right? Because the score to season 1 at least, is in Spotify, and that opening the opening theme is perfectly dissonant and uncanny.
Mhm.
It's exactly what this show needs. And the rest of the music is evocative.
Mhm.
I think it's dynamite.
That's a great word for the whole show. I didn't say it.
Evocative, yeah.
Everything about
Yeah.
it just makes you lean in and want more.
I've always loved this kind of program. Twilight Zone, The Prisoner, The X-Files, Lost, and
Mhm.
I look forward to seeing whether they can deliver.
Yeah.
Because these shows often struggle to deliver, right?
Right.
But Dan Erickson appears to know what he's doing, so
I have faith.
yeah,
I do have faith. Ben Stiller,
Yeah.
it's all,
Yeah.
they've got the right pieces to make this
100%.
happen.
100%.
My innie and my outie are exhausted. This
Stop.
was a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell everybody my business. And then for members only, you're going to stick around and we're going to get a little taste of Babylon 5, a show I know nothing about.
Can't wait.
So if anybody is listening and thinking, well, I wish I could learn a little bit about Babylon 5 from Jon Cassie, you're going to have to go to makemeanerd.com/join and hit that button to get bonus content and your episodes ad-free and early. So, Make Me a Nerd is a production of True Story FM, engineering by the peerless Pete Wright. My theme song is Wonderstruck by Jane and the Boy, and you can get me on social media at Mandy_Kaplan_Clavens, both with K's. And you can get me on Blue Sky now at Mandy Miscast. I can't remember if it's Miscast Mandy or Mandy Miscast. And I say this every episode. Try both. If you're listening on Apple, please take a minute and leave me a review. Write a review. You can let me know what you're thinking or make suggestions for future episodes. I really appreciate hearing from you all, and it helps my podcast grow. Jon Cassie.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Anything you want to tell the people about what you're up to or what you're doing, or you just want to be left the hell alone to watch your TV?
I want to watch. I want to watch some great TV.
Yes.
And, if you have an interest in podcasts about education, look up the podcast Many Windows, where my co-host and I talk about, kind of the big questions that parents and kids and we care about, like why do students lie, and why do schools work the way that they do, and what should we stop doing in schools, that kind of thing. And if you're interested in Babylon 5, stick around.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And everybody who's not a member, thank you for listening, and please become a member.